Hi and welcome back to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏. Today guys, we are going to be jumping down into the charts, taking a look at what has been going on most recently with Vechain. As I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏. With all that said, done and out of the way, let's jump down into this and do some brief technical analysis here on Vechain. So we are paired up with USDT. We are on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source. As you can see, we obviously had the pretty steep correction yesterday. There's kind of a fair amount of noise going on here, but essentially what we've got, in my opinion, here is essentially a 5-3-5 move. Okay, so a pretty interesting and standard kind of correction type, and we're actually tracking this kind of fifth wave coming down. Now, for the most part, all of this is actually inside a larger fourth wave correction we've been talking about, and this will then lead us up into a fifth wave going higher, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So essentially this correction seems to be nearing an end, big ABC essentially, and we want to just check this bottom area, right? We're in the deeper ends of what we were expecting the correction to kind of come down into, and this being the yellow box area. And what we're going to do is we're just going to adjust things ever so slightly here, so we get a good idea as to where things potentially are going to go next, right? So what we want to do is we just want to check to see whether we've actually completed that fifth wave at the bottom. So we're just going to jump into this right now. We're just going to make that a little bit bigger here, and what we'll do is I'll remove this yellow box now. We don't need it. Okay, so I think this here was our third wave low. Okay, so we're just going to grab a fib and we're going to run it from the third wave low up to the top there, and we can see that actually, yeah, we've come down to the 1.236, and we actually bounced on the 1.382. Perfect. So that is our fifth wave complete, and we've moved on up now. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and just park this up in here. That looks pretty good. Now we want a confirmation of this. The only way we're going to get confirmation is by effectively actually moving above that fourth wave high point just there. Okay, and so we're looking to move up about 6.934. If we can go higher than that, then we can mark this up as a completed move. Otherwise, this might be the start of 5 subwaves of our fifth wave. Okay, now on the scale of things, we shouldn't expect that, because that would be basically making this fifth wave overextended, but it's a possibility, but we won't, we shouldn't really be trying to hang our hats on that kind of scenario, to be honest with you. So looking at where we are, we have that completed C wave, in my opinion, just coming down the bottom here, and this could be marking the reversal point. Now, we should expect some kind of pullback, okay, but ideally I would have liked to have gone higher than fourth wave. First, let me just bring the stochastic RSI up so you guys get an idea of what I'm actually referring to here. So the stochastic RSI on the hourly chart is overbought, right, which means indicating that we should expect some kind of volatility and some kind of pullback down on this move up here. Now, what we'd like to do is actually go higher than this fourth wave at 6.934 before we pull back down, because if we can do that, we confirm that this is the fifth wave low, and we're not in some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going lower, completing a fifth wave of sub-wave count of 5 waves inside the fifth wave, right? So pushing up here is going to be really important for Vechain, but there would be some kind of pullback down as this kind of comes into potentially maybe even an impulsive move out of here, right? And if we're talking about a fifth wave up, that is the kind of expectation that we should be having. We should be thinking there's going to be sub-wave counts of 5, then a 3, then a 5, then another 3, and then another 5, right? On the micro scale, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to build up a daily fifth wave, right? And inside this hourly chart, we should be able to see some of those sub waves, at least a good sub count anyway. So we should be thinking as a pullback down, and if it is a sub wave count, it should be relatively deep, but it should not cross that low point of wave 5, right? So if we were to trade something like this, we would ideally want confirmation by pushing higher before potentially jumping in. And if you're a risk taker, make sure you don't drop down lower than that fifth wave, for example. So pretty good stuff there. Now on the 4-hourly chart, we're oversold, just coming out of the oversold area as we're starting to push back up, and that is good to see. The 8-hourly chart, we're completely oversold, and the daily chart, we're also oversold. The weekly chart, if I come into here, we're up into the overbought area. So as I said, this is going to be the fifth wave on the daily before we actually see a big weekly correction, and again, same as Bitcoin and many of the others. So we are in that last little leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump up into the daily chart here, so we can actually zoom out a little bit and hit our expectations on this, right? Because right here is the area of expectation, right? The 1.236 being 9.6, the 1.382 10.1, and the 1.618 being 10.9. Okay, so for the most part, the minimum threshold for a fifth wave is 9.6 cent. That's kind of the 1.236 expectation that we'd have here for the fifth wave, but you can go higher, but all that kind of good stuff. So if we actually take a look at this from the low point that we've currently set up to there, it's about a 48% move. From the current position at the point of recording this video, it's about a 39% move. After this, it's fair game to assume that we are going to see some kind of steep correction to correct all the time frames that should be overbought by the time we're at the top of this fifth wave. And essentially, if this is a weekly move, which it would be, all of these 5 sub-wave counts could be a wave 1 of our weekly chart, therefore indicating that this would be an ABC inside a wave 2 on the weekly chart, and that would be approximately 50 to 88% corrections. Okay, so it will be a very, very steep correction for Vechain, and a fantastic opportunity to load up before you get into that fantastic weekly third wave. Again, too soon to really know 100% that is something that we are going to get, but something that I'm looking forward to if we follow the good structure all the way through on the daily chart here. We should expect that things will also map out quite nicely moving further forward as we kind of get into 2022 in a little bit deeper way, and as we start to progress into a little bit more FOMO and all that kind of good stuff that should start coming. Now, on that note, we will talk about FOMO. Obviously, wave 5 is pretty much just driven from FOMO. The retail investors pretty much own this wave, whereas institutional players and whales own wave 3. Okay, so essentially anyone who was buying at the top here are basically, FOMO and back in, getting dollar cost averaging this dip or whatever, or buying in double down or whatever you want to say it. Alternatively, people who missed out on these fantastic heights here are now seeing this as a fantastic opportunity to then take this much, much higher. So usually what you find is this is owned by retail investors and institutions, whales, and larger players. They pretty much exit here. And then they just let this ride out, and then they buy back down here, for example. You'll find a few whales might re-enter down here, but it's very, very rare. The fifth wave is classed as higher risk than the third wave, and therefore they don't tend to get too involved with it from that kind of risk management perspective. So yeah, for Vechain right now, it looks like we're on the cusp of reversal. If I just pop back down into our hourly here, you can see that we're very, very close to basically piercing through this threshold. Once that is done, we should be in a very, very good position to actually start talking about Vechain moving up progressively out of this corrective state. So, guys, I'm going to leave this there. It's a nice brief video, an update for Vechain. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.